Alright, my Omni fans, welcome back to 2, the 2004 February arc Part 2. The stakes couldn't get higher. Daredevil's world is collapsing, Spider-Man's facing villains who rewrite the rules, and the X-Men are staring down a threat that could shatter their future. Welcome back to the Ordered Omnibus, where we break down every twist in Marvel's meticulously ordered tales. And Saga Squad, we're going to scroll through some seismic stories and staggering showdowns, so smash that subscribe, share your speculations, and stay strapped for the next saga. Invincible Iron Man, Volume 3, Issue 75. Fellow fanatics, this isn't a boardroom, it's a battlefield. Tony Stark proves why he's gunning for the Department of Defense. Unarmed and surrounded, he triggers his remote tech, and in a flash of red and gold, Iron Man shields soldiers from fire, and then drops insurgents with clean, non-lethal blasts. It is a flex of innovation, but the press corps? They're more eager to drag him down than celebrate the win. And the heat's on from every angle. Even the Avengers side-eye Tony's political ambitions, worried it'll force him to hang up his armor if confirmed. Meanwhile, the real danger creeps in. Undersecretary Sonny Birch hijacks Stark's patents, flooding the field with busted tech through shady contractors. He brags about his connections on both sides of the aisle, convinced Tony's vote will never land. The negligence is exactly why Stark stepped into the arena, to stop bloodshed born of his own designs. The sabotage hit critical, and Birch's schemes put lives on the line, and Tony knows ethics debates won't save anyone mid-crisis. The panel closes with Tony Stark ditching the political theater, suiting up and charging into a catastrophe caused by stolen tech. He may want to end weapons, but he's still a man of action. This fight won't be won in the boardroom. It's armor on, battlefield ready. NYX, Volume 1, Issue 3. Flatiron District, New York shadows take center stage. Zebra Daddy lounges in a strip club, powder on the table, bragging about his high roll of jobs, and besides him a dark-haired girl stares blankly, caught up in his orbit. He calls her lucky compared to the streets, but when fresh marks show on her arm, his vibe flips from fake praise to fury. But then the phone rings. Business, as cold as his grip. Exploitation dressed as a hustle. The cruelty keeps rolling. A purple-haired teen gets called over, strolls up chips in hand, only to get sent back on a job that almost killed her last time. And Zebra Daddy, faking concern, smacks the chips out of her hands and chokes her into silence. His threat is quite clear. She moves when he says, no questions. Terrified, she obeys while the dark-haired girl watches, scars on her forearm spelling pain, and the narration hits heavy here. This is exploitation, raw and simple, setting the stage for a mutant reveal that flips the script. And across East 25th Street, Kitten shares soup with her old teacher, Cameron Palmer. And Palmer, of course, pushes her to go home, reminding her that she's been gone for almost 6 months. Kitten blurts out, she's a mutant. Palmer laughs it off, but Kid impresses, saying Palmer was shot because of her powers. And Palmer refuses to believe it and threatens her with child services if she doesn't go home to her mom. Kid insists that she was told to find her in the nick of time, but when she's asked by whom, she can only say he. Palmer slams the door, leaving Kid desperate to prove her truth. Later, neon burns at the Hotel Brazil. The dark-haired girl faces her client again, and this time he pulls a knife, promising something different. Across town, Kitten dreams of her father's bloody body whispering Hotel Brazil 202. She wakes, scribbles the address, and bolts for Palmer's apartment. Palmer follows, arriving as Kitten finds the carnage inside. The man lies dead on the floor, the blood-soaked bed, while the girl sits in shock, claws extended. Fresh slash marks on her arm as she greets them with one simple word. Hi. What move does Kitten make now that she's seen X-23's claws? How does Palmer handle a truth that she can't dodge anymore? Though one thing's clear, New York's shadows are getting grimier by the minute. Straight up. Spectacular Spider-Man, Volume 2, Issue 8. The geopolitical pot is boiling over, Archivists. Dr. Octopus has snatched the Palestinian Foreign Minister Zarur, throwing the Middle East into chaos. The world holds its breath, waiting for Ock's demands. And when he finally calls into a radio show, it's shockingly simple, but world-breaking. At noon, Saturday, Spider-Man must walk into Times Square and unmask. Zeror calls him an idiot for risking war over a reveal, but Octavius shuts him down fast. It's a gamble with global stability riding on one secret identity. And of course, the crisis gets the all-star panel treatment. Military brass, politicians, even Reed Richard weighs in on TV debating strategy. But the cold truth is clear. The weight falls squarely on Spider-Man's shoulders. Meanwhile, Peter Parker isn't anywhere near Times Square. He's in Forest Hills, out of costume, searching Aunt May for wisdom. The mask feels heavier than ever, forcing him to ask, does being Spider-Man cause more harm than good? The deadline looms. Each choice, mask on or mask off, could change the world forever. But back at Ock's hideout, Zeror presses him, demanding why the hatred runs so deep. He despises that despite being stronger and smarter, Spider-Man is considered his equal. Zeror fires back with the ultimate low blow, accusing Ock of fear. That sends Octavius into a spectacular rage, and later, Spidey meets with Detective Neil Garrett in Central Park hoping for a lead, but instead finds a helicopter and a battalion full of camouflaged soldiers. Not the NYPD, the Israeli Secret Service. They explain their mission is Zeror's safety, not war. Their tracking signal died in a Brooklyn underpass, a clue that sends Peter into deep thought. And finally, Peter tells MJ what he's going to go do. To make the only move that he can. What choice will Peter make, and how will the world react? One thing's clear, Doc Ock's about to cause some chaos. The Mighty Thor, Volume 2, Issue 72. What's up, Omnians, and welcome back to Thor, where in the far-flung future of 2170, King Thor's dream of a new Asgard has been curdled into resentment and rebellion. This ain't your grandpappy's utopia, Canon Keepers. Thialfi, Thor's previous advisor, reflects bitterly, calling mortals fat and lazy as part of fallout from Thor's utopian vision. Mistress Kaya has branded Thor unworthy and unable to lift Mjolnir, and Thor counters with the calm philosophy saying mortals should pledge allegiance. But catastrophe mounts, forcing the king to admit a course correction is needed. The pressure hits fast, and Thor confronts his son Magni, who skipped the royal ceremony. Magni bristles, irritated by his father's obsession with the mortal girl Jordal. And even as Thor and Thialfi agree to muster a force against rebellion, Loki slithers back, humble servant to Magni, but still stoking suspicion. Thor confirms the deeper crisis. Mjolnir is gone forever, destroyed by betrayal. Reluctantly, he agrees action must be taken, and the war party mounts, led by Magni, who drops a cynical line. Mortals? Even their protests are more fun to be around. The tragedy begins. Prince Magni leads the Asgardians into the mortal village, and chaos erupts. Hogun, fueled by centuries of hate, refuses restraint, ignoring Magni's orders. Magni steps in, ordering both sides to lay down their arms, and for a moment, hope flickers. Then the mortal leader detonates a hidden bomb, blowing himself apart. In a gut punch of heroism, Magni throws himself over the blast, shielding mortals and Asgardians alike, proving his courage in the most brutal way. The sacrifice seals the verdict. Thialfi, shaken but defiant, posits that for the good of Earth, Asgard must go. And meanwhile, Loki, disguised as Thor, seeks out Jordal and tells her he finds her curiosity about the past intriguing and asks her to share everything. Oops. Will Thor accept that Asgard has become the problem? And how will Magni's bond with Jordal reshape the future? One thing's clear. This utopia's collapse is messy as hell. Saras. Ultimate X-Men, Volume 1, Issue 40. Professor Xavier and Jean Grey roll up on the Worthington estate expecting elegance but finding rot. Warren's parents are so disgusted by their son that they've hired staff and lawyers to raise him, shoving custody papers at Xavier for cash. The gross exchange ends with Warren himself swooping in, blonde, flawless, wings blazing in the white morning sun. Later at the mansion pool, Rogue loses it. She calls him a literal angel, a sign from God, proof that something bad is coming. The team scoffs, pointing out that he's just a mutant, but Rogue fires back that they've got a demon in Nightcrawler. Why not a biblical angel? And Xavier shuts that religious debate down fast. 2 days later, Rogue's fears look a little less wild. Protesters swarm the X-Mansion lawn. CNN headline blazing Angel in our midst. Xavier is furious and the leak is obvious. Beast. Hank admits that he's been posting updates on the mutant fan site, calling it good PR. And Jean Grey unleashes a verbal beatdown, screaming that people flock to dirt that kind of looks like maybe something? What did he think was going to happen if he announced an angel online? And suddenly, Warren's gone. Cyclops wants to mobilize the team, but Xavier, playing the manipulator, sends only Storm, knowing Warren is drawn to her. Beast, Storm's boyfriend, not so much. Storm finds Warren on his favorite butte, who admits that he enjoys the stares of his fellow freaks. Storm counters with empathy. He's stunning, sure, but soon enough the team will find something annoying about him. She confides that people only see her powers and not her real self. She loves to write. Warren opens up saying that his father dumped him out of disgust. And Storm drops the classic, well, tough noogies for your father, huh? Warren mopes about having nowhere to go, but Storm tells him he can use his image to make people listen. You sure look like a messenger. And then brooding Warren lands amongst the mob and declares, I am Warren Worthington. I'm 17. I'm not really an angel. I'm a mutant. The circus collapses instantly. Later, Beast sits in a diner, headline glaring, Angel's a Mutant Hoax. An unseen figure approaches, noting that the patrons stare at Hank without realizing it. The Beast counters with, Can I help you? And the stranger names him directly and then offers chillingly, Not as much as I can help you. The scene ends with an unsettling note. The Angel's arrival has cracked open chaos, and a new, deadlier player has just stepped onto the board. Who is this mysterious figure targeting the Beast? And how will Warren's reveal reshape mutant politics? One thing's clear, the Angel's wings just stirred up a storm, right? The Uncanny X-Men, Volume 1, Issue 435. In a high-security prison in Vancouver, Kane Marco is locked up after capture by Alpha Flight's Guardian, Vindicator, and Sasquatch. Surrounded by guards, his lawyer Jennifer Walters, aka the She-Hulk, flips through his file. The file reveals that Kane's power comes from a mystical gem left by a demon Cytoric in a Cambodian cave. Jennifer quips that his origin sounds like a low-budget Hulk baddie, adding a touch of dry humor to the tense scene. Jennifer reads Kane's rap sheet, highlighting his worst offense, destroying a neighborhood tied to a young mutant named Samuel Squidboy Perret, whom Charles Xavier took under his wing. She grills Kane on his motives and mental state. He obviously admits to having anger issues, and Jennifer suggests a plea deal and urges him to spill on associates like Black Tom Cassidy to cut his sentence. She hopes that Satoric keeps him alive and breathing until freedom's in sight. And in the lawyer's office, Jennifer meets with Jack White and their client, Professor Charles Xavier, joined by X-Men Warren Worthington, Kurt Wagner, Bobby Drake, and Paige Guthrie. Jack plans to file for an extradition and venue change, but doubts it'll fly given the case's high profile in Canada. He wishes he had mental powers to sway the decision, but respects Charles's integrity. Jack pushes Charles to convince Kane to cooperate, warning of charges for harboring a fugitive. He calls out Charles for letting Kane into Canada despite his instability. Hinting at Charles's struggles with school expansions and recent attacks, Charles admits to feeling overwhelmed, but insists he's managing. And back in the cell, Kane complains about the lousy soundproofing despite the high-tech restraints locking him down. Guards throw insults his way, but Kane fires back with some quick, sharp jabs, showing he's one not to be pushed around. Suddenly, the Rhino crashes through the wall, barreling in like a wrecking ball, aiming for a breakout. A guard fires at Rhino, but accidentally hits Kane's restraints, instead loosening them. Rhino snarls, demanding directions from the guard, but Kane seizes the moment, knocking Rhino down cold and ordering the guard to hand over his gun. And with quick precision, Kane takes Rhino out, who collapses in a cloud of dust and smoke. The guard, now seeing Kane a new light, steps aside, but Kane chooses to surrender, raising his hands in a show of control and defiance. Watching security footage, Jack tells the Canadian official Kane's actions prove he's not a flight risk. He offers a deal, reduced sentence if Rhino's testimony about secret experiments stay quiet. The official agrees to consult the higher-ups. Later, Jennifer questions Kane's sudden change. Kane reveals a deeper side. His dad was a rocket scientist, and despite disappointments, Kane believes in women's rights, spirituality, and enjoys reality TV to prove humans' folly. He admits to being a Mets and Jets fan, sparking a playful debate from Jennifer, a Yankee and Giants supporter. In a hotel room marked by signs of recent fight, Kane and Jennifer share a moment. Kane admits that sometimes women just outclass men. Jennifer probed Kane's past about Black Tom Cassidy, learning that Kane once found Tom living in squalor and bought a castle for them to hide out and seek a cure for Tom's condition. Despite his criminal past, Kane shows genuine care and complexity. Unseen, someone wearing a Juggernaut armor approaches the window, hinting at a new threat ahead. X-treme X-men, Volume 1, Issue 37. Comic Crusaders, welcome back to the Tokyo Arena, where Koga unveils his newest champion, Storm. From the stands, Yukio screams a warning, but Koga shrugs it off because this is opportunity. The setup is brutal. One victor and everyone else defeated. Samurai-clad workers drag Silk and Musclehead from the ring as Koga brags about power and money. But Storm isn't listening. The crowd's roar cracks the cage around her spirit, and without a word she rides the wind skyward, snatching Yukio and blasting through the ceiling. The two soar into a torrential downpour. A Storm Aurora herself is unleashing. Inside Yukio's apartment, the assassin steps from the shower, dragon tattoo gleaming. While Storm watches the weather report, 6 centimeters of rain per hour, her storm is literally drowning Tokyo. Yukio startles her bluntly in saying that she's flooding the city. Storm agrees, drying them both off with a gust. And as Yukio changes, Storm sees a report on Maria DeCanto, a human who tried to kill mutants. Storm asks why mutants are always the enemy. Yukio lays it down. Prejudice targets anyone other. Storm pulls up the voiceofhumanity.com, a hate site plastered with Xavier's photo and the late Serafina Montoya. The weight of hate is heavy. Storm stares at Xavier's image, furious, splashing wine across the screen. She laments the policing mutants was easier when the numbers were small. And on the balcony she asks how to police an ever-growing community. And Yukio answers, you can't save everyone. And later as they sleep, the sliding door opens. Years of training kick in and Storm dodges a crushing blow that obliterates her pillow. The fight explodes and the attacker shrugs off a tornado, mobster accent thick, slamming Storm into a wall. Bonkers doesn't even cover it. The brute catches Yukio's shurikens midair. Lightning crackles as Storm warns him to release her, or fry. The light reveals Guido Carosella, strong guy? He smashes hidden cameras, proving Koga's surveillance. Urgently, he leads them to a nearby sentient home owned by Lila Cheney, programmed to accept Storm as co-owner. Yukio's suspicion lingers while Guido explains after X Factor disbanded, he was duped into the arena with promises of luxury and tattoos marking his ownership. The sentient computer projects Guido's words. Every arena has a champion, everyone else's property. Koga's just the manager. And to rise, you must defeat the mutant above you. To challenge the champion, you must become one. Storm was lucky defeating Musclehead gave her the free pass. She can leave, but if she does, mass battles will erupt with many dead. If she stays champion, she can never leave, and the bouts end in death. Storm's fury ignites. In her red arena battlesuit, she accepts the role, issuing a challenge. A voice cuts through. Well, since you asked. And Callisto enters, snake-like tentacles replacing her arms. If Storm loses, she belongs to Callisto. Will Storm embrace the arena's deadly rules or fight to break them? Can Callisto's twisted challenge topple the new champion? One thing's clear, this Storm is about to get savage, no lie. X-Statix, Volume 1, Issue 17. Outside a Hollywood studio, chaos erupts. Lacuna, the mutant talk show host, is gunned down by a rooftop sniper. Guy Smith, Mr. Sensitive, levitates up to the roof and corners one of the slowest assassins in history. A fanatic soldier of Mr. Code, but before Guy can act, the sniper's face contorts, a suicide bomb detonating in his brain as Guy is flung away and barely survives. His suit shields him, but agony forces him to pop one of Xavier's pills to dull his senses. Amidst the wreckage, Guy finds an electronic device, proof that Mr. Code protects himself and his privacy by self-detonating zealots. Say that 5 times fast. Looking down at Lacuna, Guy curses himself for forgetting the girl who confessed her love yesterday. And at the hospital, Guy endures Lacuna's parents' fury. They blame X-Statix for rejecting her and leaving her full of holes. Guy insists it was random, but the father's challenge was it truly random? It shuts Guy up pretty quick. Now, back with the team, they review the footage and deducing that Spike Freeman orchestrated the hit to stop Lacuna's investigation. Using his hypersensitivity, Guy holds Lacuna's life-supported wrist as Vivisector reads law firm names. The tremor hits on Williams, Williams, and Williams. Target locked. The Venus de Milo teleports the team into the firm's cavernous office. John Williams, Lacuna's lawyer, reveals that the documents have already hit the press, twisted into slander linking X-Statix to chemical sales to Saddam Hussein, even MP3 piracy. The public now despises them, and Guy declares that they must win back the love with spectacle. And Dead Girl, fresh from communing with Spike Freeman's corpse, drops a bomb. She literally went to hell for this intel. Spike bankrolled Mr. Code's killer seminars and had Lacuna shot. The team teleports live on TV to Mr. Code's stronghold. Gunfire erupts and the anarchists burst through a wall, finding children? Guy orders Venus to evacuate the Wunderkind, but Mr. Code, barcode mask gleaming, knocks her out. Henrietta intervenes, but Mr. Code snaps her neck instantly. Enraged, Guy attacks, enduring Code's smug philosophy. America needs heroes and villains for drama. Their duel is a savage ballet. Guy levitates, dragging Mr. Code skyward, mantra echoing, "It also helps to be a mutant." He drops him to his death, and Venus recovers, finding Cole impaled. Guy unmasks him, and, "My God, it's you?" But the mask is the trigger as the body explodes, and Guy's desperate warning is drowned out in the blast. What did Guy see beneath Mr. Code's mask? Did Venus survive the blast? One thing's clear. X-Statix just lit the media circus on fire. No cap. Captain Marvel, Volume 5, Issue 17. Alright, true believers, buckle up, because Jenna shows Rick a terrifying glimpse of the Earth's future. Humanity wiped out before it can even begin to grow. And Rick fires back, unimpressed, calling him insane. And as they head towards Titan, Marvel twists Cicero into a justification for punishment. Rick, fed up with the whole thing, just demands they settle things with Elysius and stop this whole War of the Worlds Part 2 thing before it even begins. Meanwhile, the Council plays politics with Alondra. The Kree and Skrull representatives put on a show of hostility for the home team, but secretly they're aligned in pressing Alondra to act against Marvel faster than planned. And on Titan, Marvel senses something is off. The Titans are phasing seconds ahead or behind, but that's only because they're too afraid to face him. Phyla lurks in the darkness, calling her mother for permission to act. Elysius gives her the go-ahead, and soon Marvel is confronted by riddles and accusations. Rick mocks him as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, while Marvel insists Epiphany is real. Phyla steps forward, quoting Latin, cogito ergo sum, and accusing her brother of arrogance and imitation. Marvel swears he won't kill anyone anymore, just his sister. Phyla's kung fu theatrics keep her one step ahead. Fight explodes as Marvel unleashes his Schwarzak beam. Phyla counters with her wristlet blasts, and the sibling rivalry turns brutal. Voices in Marvel's head, Rick, Epiphany, and the cosmic awareness drive him to a breaking point. He screams for silence, unleashing a cosmic tantrum. But Phyla stands her ground, and she blasts him again, taunting that Elysius perfected her after Marvel was the huge mistake. Marvel quips back right between the eyes before trading blows that send them crashing into a church. Phyla follows, monologuing about her disappointment, only to be shot by her brother. This battle is vicious, personal, and far from over. As Marvel approaches his kneeling sister, Rick fumes about being left in the dark, and suddenly Titans and their security forces arrive. Rick suggests a powwow to clear Marvel's fractured memory, while Elysius warns that Titans fear hurting him more than being hurt by him. Epiphany urges caution, but Marvel declares he knows what must be done. Elysius reveals temporal rifts left from Marvel's reconstruction of the universe, leaking chronal energy. One sits right here, ready to send them back. But before Marvel can act, Phyla lashes out with her light whip, dragging him into the portal as the Titans watch in shock. What will Marvel do now that Phyla's dragged him into the rift? And how will Rick handle the Titans' sudden arrival? One thing's clear, this cosmic storm is getting wilder by the minute. And just like that, we've wrapped up the February 2000 Arc Part 2. And what a ride it was! From Cap's tribunal to Hulk's desperate battle to the landmark debut of X-23. This month's delivered seismic shifts across the Marvel's universe. But don't get too comfortable, because next time we launch into February Part 3, where the stakes climb even higher with shocking twists for Daredevil, cosmic chaos from Fantastic Four, and a brutal showdown with Wolverine. So, my Saga Squad, we've scrolled through the seismic stories and staggering showdowns, so smash that subscribe, share your speculations, and stay strapped for the next saga. Here's the titles we'll be covering next episode. We'll be seeing you next episode. Same ordered time, same ordered omnibus.